Sleeping in a seat on an overnight train is often an uncomfortable experience, but the sleeper train I'll be taking tonight has a brilliant and unique solution to this. Well, at least for Europe. I'll be spending 7.5 hours on Norway's overnight train from Bergen to Oslo, sleeping in a fully lie-flat seat on our journey through the fjords to see whether this is a revolution or a nightmare. Now join me as the journey continues. Bergen Stasjon is the main railway station serving Norway's second largest city and has been on this site since 1913, replacing the former station that was located slightly west of where the current station stands today. Designed by Norwegian architect Jens Zetlitz Monrad Gillon in a national romantic style, it's one of the grandest buildings in Norway, though we'll of course see that further once we get inside. The main hall here is really something to behold and looks just as spectacular at night as it does during the day. You can even find a mural depicting the history of the city by the main entrance, which is truly a sight to behold, as well as numerous Christmas decorations, well, at least when I travelled in December. Amenities wise, don't expect much to be open at this time of night, but the supermarket was at least open, and whilst the ticket office annoyingly closes after 7 PM, you can at least make use of the ticket machines and lockers, the latter being fairly useful for me given I arrived on the day train from Oslo earlier in the afternoon. All services here are operated by the Norwegian state rail operator Vy under a contract which expires in 2031, their main services being long-distance trains along the Bergensbanen to Oslo, as well as local trains to nearby towns and cities in the fjords, such as Myrdal and Voss. Our train tonight is one of Vy's night trains, specifically the 2301 to Oslo Central Station from platform 3. As you can see from the board, we still have a fair amount of time to wait, and whilst there are plenty of seating areas in the main concourse, waiting in the cold for over an hour isn't ideal, as I'm sure you'll agree. Luckily for us though, Vy has several hotel partnerships, consequently meaning we can make use of the nearby Grand Hotel Terminus as a waiting lounge. Just go to the reception, show your sleeper ticket, and then head into the restaurant area. Definitely a decent space to wait, and I was also able to get some water whilst waiting, which is always a bonus. Before long, it was time to head back to the station where our Vy night train arrives from the depot to take us to Oslo. In our sleeper train consists as a sleeping car, a couchette car, a dining car, an ordinary seated car, and what we're here to try tonight, the relatively new Plus Nat or Plus Night accommodation, all of the Class 7 or B7 type. Leading is a VEL18 electric locomotive manufactured by Adtrans and SLM, being derived from the Swiss RE460. These locomotives are designed for 200 km per hour, but only reach 160 km per hour in regular service, in line with both the coaches and Norway's infrastructure constraints. Our locomotive also features a See Norway by Train vinyl, though we won't be doing much of that tonight. Before boarding, all passengers must check in with the attendants on the platform. Simply show your ticket or reservation and you'll be guided to your assigned carriage, though ours isn't too hard to find being at the rear of the train.
In car 1. Thank you very much.
Our B7 Plus Night carriage actually dates back to 1982. However, Vy extensively refurbished a number of these former regular seated carriages and fitted them with 23 lie-flat seats each, the intention being to effectively provide a middle ground between seated and sleeper accommodations on its night trains. They first launched on the Bergensbanen in 2023, and at the time of filming are the only sleeper trains in Europe to have this concept, so I'm really excited to try this out. There's no level boarding on any of the carriages, with there instead being a retractable step as on most European trains. The Plus Night carriage is laid out in a 2x1 configuration, and the first thing I noticed was how dark it was in here. It didn't take me long though to find my assigned seat, number 15, home for the next 7.5 hours. One thing to note is that the seats are in their standard upright position by default. I'll show you how to adjust this shortly, but first we can see that Vy have provided a bottle of water as well as a blanket. They did previously provide a small inflatable pillow and an eye mask too, but that wasn't the case on this trip. Does anyone know why? Alongside the standard overhead luggage racks in the carriage and larger racks next to the vestibules, the lie flats have a handy storage space just in front for bags or other medium to small items in case you're worried about security, which was rather reassuring. To adjust the seat, you'll want to make use of the arrow buttons on the aisle side, which allows you to adjust the position as you see fit. V have made it so that the seat can reach its full lie flat position in around 30 seconds, which is pretty good going. The control panel also has a switch to operate the personal reading light on the headrest, from which you can also adjust the brightness to your desired level. Also here is a standard 2-pin power outlet alongside both a USB-A and a USB-C socket, with a small area sectioned off to place any devices like a phone whilst charging, which is pretty clever. Personally, I think that overall seat comfort itself is pretty great. Definitely better than regular seats which are used by night train operators in Europe, V included. Very well padded with superb ergonomics. Just a shame there's no head cushion to use as a pillow. When resting your legs, there's a small space at the front to place them when going to sleep, and legroom overall here is almost perfect. I'm around 5'8" for reference and I still had plenty of available space, so no need to worry if you're on the taller side. On the window side of the seat is a foldable section which when revealed shows a fold-out tray table that includes a groove for a cup holder, and there are coat hooks available by way of the push-out style at the back of the seat in front, as well as 2 additional ones above the window. Finally, there's a draw-down blind which, strangely enough for an overnight train, only reduces the glare and doesn't completely block out the view. I really think this is an incredibly smart product with very unique designs. Not perfect, mind you, but still more than I would have got had I been in an actual regular seat all the way to Oslo tonight, so I can't really complain. We still have some time before we head off, so let's do a quick walkthrough. Right next to Plus Night is the sleeper accommodation, which are the standard private berths that you'd find on any other European night train, this also including an accessible room for disabled passengers. All cabins are locked by default regardless of whether there are occupants or not, so no chance at a sneak peek today I'm afraid, but I'll hopefully try this out on my next visit to Norway. I did manage to luck out with the couchette carriage just next to this though, which is an ex-Deutsche Bahn couchette accommodating up to 4 or 6 people per berth, so very useful for groups or families, seen here in a 6-passenger configuration. This carriage also includes bike storage, which must be booked in advance at 50% of an adult single ticket, so between 27 and 275 Norwegian kroner depending on what price you pay. The regular seated car is no different to what you'll find on V's daytime services on the Bergensbanen, being laid out in a 2x2 configuration with mostly airline seats, but a few base seats here and there. More people than I expected were actually booked in the seats, but the real question is, would you sleep here? The full dining car is available on the train, but to be honest, I personally don't really see the need given how short the journey is overnight between Oslo and Bergen. Some people still made use of it though, as you can see. As for the bathroom situation, well, as with the day train, there's just the standard toilets available for washing your face and brushing your teeth, which isn't massively ideal, but I'll get onto V's solution for this in the morning. The toilet was still relatively clean, so no complaints from me. Okay, now let's head back to our seat and get it ready for bed, as we'll be leaving momentarily. Given the lack of pillows, I figured this would be a reasonable position to sleep in, and not to worry, the support and padding are still fine as you can see. Our route to Oslo tonight will see us cross the fjords as we make calls at most stops along the Bergensbanen. Given this is an overnight train, our journey will be almost 1 hour slower than the day train, our trip taking 7 hours and 26 minutes to cover a distance of 478 kilometers or 297 miles, with an estimated arrival time of 6:27 AM. We depart Bergen on time at 1 minute past 11 as we commence our long overnight journey across the fjords. After passing V's maintenance facility and numerous B7 carriages, we enter the Ulriken tunnel, and emerging from it we call it Arne Station, which was when I decided to call it a night. Good night all, and I'll see you first thing in the morning.
Six and a half hours later.
It's now 5 minutes to 6 in the morning, and I woke up shortly before arriving into Drammen Station. On the whole, I slept a lot better than I thought I would. Definitely not as comfy as a bed or a couchette berth, but still, I managed to get a decent 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep. I'll be honest, I thought I'd only get like 3 or 4. As we cross over the Strømsøypa bridge, and with our arrival into Oslo being under half an hour, I went to go quickly freshen up in the toilets briefly, but I'll be having a proper shower and breakfast when I arrive. Stay tuned until the end to see how. For now, it's time to reflect. I definitely think that V's Plus night accommodation is a fantastic concept and is an ideal middle ground between sleeping compartments and regular seats, both in terms of comfort and price, and is ideal for short overnight journeys like between Bergen and Oslo, though I'd be interested to see how it holds up on some of Europe's longer overnight trains if other operators decide to adopt the concept. That being said, it's far from perfect. I would have liked to see a divider on the aisles for increased privacy, and the blinds really should have been changed to make them more suited for overnight travel. But regardless, I'm on board with the concept, and judging from the near full occupancy rates, it seems to have been a success for V, and rightly so. I was travelling with my first class Interrail pass on this trip, and as all long distance trains in Norway are compulsory reservation, I paid 680 Norwegian kroner for my plus night reservation, which is around €60. Without the pass, prices range between 600 Norwegian kroner and 900 Norwegian kroner, which I think is a pretty good deal considering you essentially save a night on a hotel and arrive into Oslo first thing in the morning for a full day, whilst at the same time avoiding all the usual faffs and hidden costs that come with flying.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will in about 6-7 minutes arriving Oslo Central Station, and the platform will be on your left.
We pull into Oslo Central Station a mere 3 minutes late at 6:30, ready to start the day. Now you've heard from me, I want to hear from you. What did you think of the V Plus night offering? Would you spend the night in a lie flat seat on a train, and are you convinced to give it a go after watching this video? Let me know in the comments. Oh right, what about breakfast and showering? Well, thanks to V's hotel partnership scheme, sleeper passengers are able to make use of the Thon Hotel outside of Oslo's Central Station, and for 290 Norwegian kroner, you can make use of both the shower and breakfast facilities here. Just be aware that the showers are communal though. If you only fancy breakfast, you pay a reduced fee of 195 Norwegian kroner, and was pretty delicious with great variety. And that brings me to the end of the video. Please like and share it if you enjoyed it to aid the channel's growth, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more content such as this weekly. Now that I've freshened up with the shower and breakfast, it's time to get on with my activities for the day. Thanks so much for coming with me on this trip, and I look forward to bringing you with me on my next one.